Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and Avengers Infinity War shocked us all with a villain so fierce that no Avenger could ever truly take him down. Red Skull! Yes, by the way, Red Skull makes a cameo in Infinity War, which isn't really a spoiler nearly 2 weeks after the movie came out, but obligatory spoiler warning for the spoilery discussion ahead. Yes, it wasn't enough for Infinity War to end with Thanos succeeding in snapping half the universe out of existence. It reminded us that Red Skull, the villain from the first Captain America film, is still alive. Now, he's stuck at a crappy job on a desolate planet with no friends, but still, that's one less win on the board. Red Skull was one of the biggest questions people have had coming out of the movie, so let's break down what's going on here and the deeper meaning of his role in Infinity War. And let's start with a quick reminder of who Red Skull even is. In Captain America, the first Avenger, Red Skull was known as Johann Schmidt, played by Hugo Weaving. Schmidt was an egomaniacal scientist working for the Nazis who was obsessed with becoming a superior being. Before Abraham Erskine used his super soldier serum on Steve Rogers to turn him into Captain America, he used a rough draft of it on Schmidt, giving him the same super strength and agility, but deforming his appearance, or upgrading it, depending on what your tastes are. Schmidt was also obsessed with Norse mythology, obtaining the Tesseract, a magical object that he said was from Odin's vault, using it to supercharge his weapons and try to lead Hydra, not the Nazis, to rule the world. Now, the Tesseract we later learned contained the Space Stone, one of the 6 Infinity Stones that Thanos uses to fulfill his evil dreams. But with Red Skull, during his fight with Captain America, he picks up the Tesseract, which opens a rift in space and appears to disintegrate him into the cosmos. Done and done. But wait, here he is in Infinity War, crashing Thanos' Take Your Daughter to Death Day. This isn't Hugo Weaving, by the way. This is actor and talented impressionist Ross Marquand filling in. But how did Red Skull even get here? Red Skull's explanation is cryptic at best. He tells Thanos, "A lifetime ago, I too sought the stones. I even held one in my hand, but it cast me out, banished me here, guiding others to a treasure I cannot possess." I'm no Marquand. So rather than frying him to bits like we thought, the Space Stone transported Red Skull here to Vormir. We actually started to wonder whether he still might be alive in the Infinity War Prelude comic, which replayed that moment from Captain America, but it included this interesting sound effect. Foosh! Which to me is exactly what it sounds like when someone gets teleported. Also, rewatching the scene from the movie, that beam that transports Red Skull looks a lot like the Bifrost that Thor and Heimdall used to teleport from planet to planet. And that leads us to the next question. What is Red Skull doing here? Red Skull is now the Stone Keeper, kind of like that old Templar knight in the cave at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. His obsessive pursuit of an Infinity Stone led him to guard one that he can never use himself. His words suggest that the Infinity Stones themselves deemed Red Skull unworthy, that they possess some divine insight and judgment. Now, if we assume Red Skull's teleportation was Bifrost powered, perhaps this judgment came from Odin himself. This could be part of some protective magic that Odin cast on the Tesseract Space Stone or the Soul Stone. Either way, Red Skull has been chilling here in Vormir for 70 years, which is interesting because it means that either the magic of the Infinity Stone prevents him from aging, or it means that that super soldier serum has a lot more potency than we thought. Cap's gonna outlive everybody. The most interesting takeaway here is that the Infinity Stones carry their own kind of wisdom. That wisdom spoke through the Mind Stone to warn Vision about Thanos' approach. It spoke through the Time Stone to warn Doctor Strange about their 14 million to 1 odds and the one pathway to victory. Actually, check out my other video for more details on that. Maybe that wisdom also considered Thanos worthy of succeeding, so long as the right martyrs were erased with his snap, allowing the right survivors to avenge them. I'm sure we'll get a sense of the cosmic implications of all this as time goes on, but in this case, that wisdom prevented Red Skull from possessing the Soul Stone himself, which leads us to our final question. What is the deeper meaning of Red Skull's role? Now, for many comic nerds who watched Infinity War, Red Skull's initial appearance struck a familiar tone. He appears hooded and floating and spooky, very Grim Reaper-y. For a second, you may have thought this was Death. In the Infinity Gauntlet comics, Mistress Death is Thanos' love interest. He does everything for her. She doesn't appear in this movie, but I think there's a reason for this fake out here. Red Skull taking on the form of Death hints that this whole scene is meant for us to examine Thanos' motives, to look deeply at his moral character. After Red Skull explains that the Soul Stone demands a sacrifice of that which you love, Gamora mistakenly chides Thanos, saying he failed because he loves no one. But sadly for her, she's wrong. Thanos does love someone, Gamora. Red Skull, by comparison, cannot possess this stone because he truly doesn't love anyone else. So in a sense, Red Skull exists in this movie to serve as a foil for us to compare Thanos to the villains of the MCU past. The movie does something similar in the opening scene with Thanos killing Loki, suggesting that Thanos is not conflicted by his loyalties to family the precise way that this past villain was. Thanos' goal to protect people from themselves really isn't that different from the goal of Ultron, who also gets brought up in this movie. Ultron's greatest flaw was hubris, to need to create new life in his own image, an android of living tissue, vibranium, and the Mind Stone. His efforts eventually led to Vision, who ultimately did him in. Unlike Ultron, Thanos never falls into that trap. He's purely a purifier, preserving life by thinning the herd. He never kills or tortures anyone he doesn't have to. So Red Skull completes this whole comparison to past villains. Red Skull never loved anyone, as is the case for many villains of the MCU, but Thanos does, and that love makes him worthy in the eyes of the universe to achieve his goals, and worthy in our eyes to be the Marvel Cinematic Universe's greatest game changer. But I'll throw it over to you guys. How do you think Red Skull could ever return in a future MCU movie? Comment down below with your theories, or tweet me directly at EA Voss, or follow New Rockstars on Twitter for updates on our videos. Like and share this video, and subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our deep dives and analyses of Avengers Infinity War. Thanks for watching, and now it's time for me to return to my home planet. Foosh! 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 Why isn't it working? Ah.